Welcome to Pop Culture Roulette for all your pop culture needs. We're America's podcast. All right, welcome everybody. I'm Nicholas. I'm joined by Jeremy, who is desperate for ABBA to win a Grammy for Best Record of the Year tonight, and Justin. And joined by Justin, who was disappointed to find out that Turning Red was not a documentary on becoming a communist.
Oh, all right. What an introduction.
Wow.
Ah,
Look at this guy.
he thinks he's the funny one.
Well, he's behind a curtain like he's doing a monologue, so it's fitting.
All right. Well, I mean, clearly zero things happened in pop culture last week that are worth talking about. So this is going to be a really short episode. I mean, there was nothing happening while we were recording that would be worth talking about.
Not at all. No.
Not
Can't think
all.
of anything.
Nothing.
Nope,
nothing. No event that I have a tendency to talk about. Nothing crazy happened at that event. So, right, we have to talk about it. We can't ignore it. I mean, I know that, several, Daniel Radcliffe says that he's tired of hearing about it, but that's what we get paid the big bucks for, to talk about your entertainment needs and your, that is in the advertisement. We do promise that we talk about all the entertainment news that you need to know about. So
I mean, maybe if they paid us the big bucks, we would stay away from some topics. We'll pay you to not talk about this.
So
all right, done.
So O.J. Simpson decided he had to give his 2 cents and said that he was super disappointed that Will Smith would slap Chris Rock. Because you know what I think of who I need my moral lessons from, who I go to for advice on right and wrong and how to handle things. I immediately think of the guy who murdered his wife and a random waiter in pure rage.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
It's now. I'm not even going to say alleged. I know.
And it was a family friend, not a random waiter.
It wasn't really a family friend. It was really kind of a random waiter. I mean, he was returning her sunglasses. He wasn't really in a relationship with her. He was just a waiter who was familiar with the family. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say that he did it to just a retread on old news. Listen to that interview he gave where he was talking about the book If I Did It, and tell me that man isn't just telling you I did it.
No, he's telling you if he did it.
You're right. He's just playing out a scenario.
It's right there in the title. If
you know when you're asking your friend a question, all right, hypothetically, if I had a friend and he really needed to, but then he was trying to. That happened so many times during that interview. Anyway.
Allegedly.
Yeah, well, I just don't want anyone coming after me. It's just I'll let it be known that Justin and I are saying allegedly.
We don't want any white Broncos showing up in front of our houses.
You know what, OJ, bring it. I'm not afraid of an old decrepit man. maybe 20, 30 years ago I would have been, but now I'm not. Not scared of him at all. Anyway, so Will Smith took it upon himself to walk on stage at the Oscars and slap Chris Rock straight across the face. Do you think it was staged?
I don't think so.
I was going to say 50-50.
I mean, my initial response when I saw it was, man, is that staged? Like it looked like Chris Rock knew it was coming. It looked like the hit was coming. And the fact that nobody was like trying to stop Will Smith from walking right up to Chris Rock and doing it, it was like, okay, well, but it was Will Smith's reaction after he slapped when he kept yelling, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth."
Mhm.
That I was like, okay, maybe this isn't staged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of the stuff that has come out since then with the Oscars being outraged and like Will Smith resigning from being a member of the Academy.
Right.
They're not done punishing him yet. I think there's going to be other punishment beyond just that. Maybe it isn't faked, but man, what do you guys think of Will Smith's career going forward?
He'll still get roles. He'll still bring in the box office numbers.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's going to have too much trouble. Like, I think it'll be rocky for a couple months, and then it'll just be like business as usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I feel. I mean, so many people are like, "Oh, Will Smith's career is done." It's like, oh man, it's Will Smith. Because the other question is like, well, why didn't security stop him from getting to Chris Rock? Because it's Will Smith. Like, if a seat filler had decided to like jump up on stage, I guarantee you he would have been tackled before he got to Chris Rock.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
it was Will Smith. Security all looked at each other and went, "That's Will Smith." They probably all thought it was, some sort of scripted thing that nobody bothered to tell them about.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Well, Will Smith refused to leave after we asked him. Why didn't the police do something?" Because it's Will Smith. You think the police are just going to go up and arrest the man in the middle of the Oscars?
That would have been awesome, though.
Yeah. That would have brought in some buzz.
It would have. I mean, I will say it is really fishy that, the Oscar ratings were as bad as they were, but it wasn't like they're pumping it for like a couple weeks going into it, going, "What is Chris Rock gonna say?" Will Smith, Chris Rock, blood feud. Like they weren't like so
Celebrity death match.
right. I mean, so
Yeah.
it wasn't. So they can't say it was for ratings because nobody would have known. I mean, people already weren't watching it. Like it wasn't like if people were calling each other going, "Oh my God, did you see that?" No, and then flipped it on.
Right.
It was. I mean, nobody was watching it already anyway.
Mhm.
It was the second lowest rated Oscars in basically Oscar history. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, if you look at Chris Rock's face after that, he legitimately looks stunned. Like he's like, "What the fuck?"
Well,
Yeah.
Like for a while afterwards, like as someone's up on stage presenting for something coming up, he's like in the background going like, "What the fuck?" So
He did a good job of not retaliating.
yeah.
yeah, I gotta say, I mean, if it had been like, I don't know, like I was talking to somebody and they were like, if that was, I'm just Eddie Murphy or Dane Cook or, Bert Kreischer or some other comedian, Joe Rogan, I don't know if Will Smith would have not been met with, a right cross right back at him.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
So yeah, I mean that is
What do you think about that, Justice Cat?
Yeah.
is-
No, I thought the same thing. I was like, man, you could tell though that Chris Rock kind of wanted to hit him back by watching his reaction. It looked like he loaded up a little bit, but it also looked like he had his thumb tucked into his fist, so he probably would have broke his hand.
yeah, I mean, and ultimately in the long run, it's gonna be better for Chris Rock to have not retaliated. I mean, it's gonna look it makes him look better.
Right.
It makes Will Smith look worse. And honestly, at the end of the day, and all there's a lot of memes, and I don't necessarily know if we're gonna go into it because I don't want Will Smith coming to my house and slapping me. But there's a lot of stuff that's been said about Jada that makes her look really bad.
Yeah.
You know, but
So
You're
you're afraid of Will Smith, but not of OJ.
no, I mean Will Smith is barely older than I am, and in really good shape. OJ is an old, decrepit man who spent a lot of time in jail.
Doing nothing but working out.
Yeah, I'm still not overly worried about him.
So
But,
is there any old men you're afraid of then in the celebrity game?
hmm,
And what do you classify as an old man? Let's see how old OJ is.
Yeah, what about Arnold? Do you think you'd be able to go a few rounds with him?
you know what? Maybe Arnold now I maybe could go a few rounds with, but Arnold back in the day he would well, you know, like if Will Smith had walked up to him, Arnold probably would have knocked him clean out. You know.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
OJ
Yeah.
is 74.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He's really old. What does he look like? Look like he could still go a few rounds?
I don't know.
Would Jay now?
Maybe. I probably still wouldn't want to mess with him.
I mean, there is the crazy factor. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like
He's-
overall,
He snapped before, allegedly.
Allegedly.
you keep saying this word. I don't think you understand what it means.
Allegedly, we don't understand it.
Yeah, allegedly.
All right. Well, I mean,
Oh, this is allegedly an episode that's going to be posted.
Allegedly on Monday.
Allegedly, number what? 51?
Allegedly.
allegedly. I mean, other than that, nothing happened in the Oscars that are worth talking about.
I don't know anything else that even happened besides that.
Yeah,
I
pretty
mean-
much.
I don't know. I know he won for what, best actor after that?
Yeah. Yeah, he won for Best Actor after that. And, you know, a lot of people are like, how dare you still give him an award? It's like, okay, but first off, they decided that week. I mean, that was voted on weeks ago. Like, they already had the statues engraved. Like, it was done. Like, it was, like, they can't take it away because of something he did an hour before. Yeah.
Sure they can.
I mean, they can try to take it away from him now, but, you know, I don't know how well that.
Who presented him the award? Do we know any of that information?
I mean, I'm sure we can look it up, but I honestly don't know.
I would have set the award down and been like, all right, before I give this to him, I'm going to get to a safe distance, set it down, take a couple steps back.
I mean, the one thing that, I mean, it feels like every comedian has come out in support of Chris Rock. I do understand why. I mean, you know, it's a fraternity, you know, thing. Like, you know, you've got to stand up for your brother. But I don't know if I agree with the sentiment that a lot of these guys are saying that they're like, well, Will Smith has just made it okay, like he's just made it open season on comedians, and he's just given all the wackadoos the idea or the right to walk up on stage and slap a comedian if they don't like what they're saying during the act. And it's like, well, first off,
Some people are might try that.
First off, he didn't give anybody the right to do it. Secondly, wackadoos might have already done that anyway. None of them needed Will Smith to show him.
So I think next month when we see Weird Al, if he doesn't play a song we like, can we just get up there and smack him?
No, because you don't have celebrity privilege.
Right? We have a mildly
We're not-
allegedly successful podcast.
Well,
We-
we're on like the X or Y list.
Wait, you're putting us above Z?
Yeah, I think we've moved up from Z.
Oh, okay, all right.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We do have at least one fan
Yeah.
because there's one person who started interacting with our Facebook page. Like he likes everything that we put on, and like he's made some comments. They've all just been like emojis. He hasn't like actually said anything, so there's been nothing for me to like interact with him on.
Nice.
he's not like I looked at his page and he doesn't like none of the three of us have like a shared friend.
Wow.
So I don't think we know this person. So we have a fan.
Wow. Our fan of the month.
Yeah.
Let's give him a prize.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
A prize of we gave you a shout out and don't remember. I think it was Troy. But anyway, but I don't necessarily know if I agree with a lot of the comedians saying that this puts it open season on comedians. I do understand where they're getting the idea from because I mean we are living in this world where people can't seem to take a joke,
That's true.
Mhm.
and you know it's scary if Will Smith is going to walk up to you on stage and slap you. What's going to keep Billy Joe Bob Smith from walking up and slapping you or doing something worse because you know he didn't like the joke that you just said or a way that you just said the joke.
Yeah.
And you know when you're at the Yuck Yuck Club in downtown, uh, there isn't really security between you and the crowd. Like you know maybe you're on a 3 foot stage or a bit of a riser from all of the tables, but you know unless you're Gabriel Iglesias and you're playing the Riverside, so you've got the giant stage and then the bouncers between you and the rest of the audience. But you know if you're at just the normal whatever Laugh Factory is,
Yeah.
there's no space between you and the crowd. But I mean, to say that Will Smith did that, I mean, ignores a lot of history of like, I don't know, the guy who walked up on stage and shot Dimebag Darrell.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, it's happened before. It just happens rarely because most people understand the social contract.
Yeah. And probably a lot of it too that happens you don't hear about. It's probably so minor that they're just like, oh, it's not even going to be reported that this guy went on stage.
Well, because you know, if it's a comedian that nobody's ever heard of, who cares if that person got slapped on stage or not?
I mean, people should still care.
I mean, you would think there's a lot of other more important things happening in the world, but all people have talked about this week is Chris Rock getting slapped. So, and then we followed that right up with the last 15, 20 minutes.
So we're the grand finale. We're gonna end the week out with our opinions on it, and
They
we
were
can
just,
finally stop.
Well,
yeah,
well,
they were waiting for us to give our 2 cents before they laid it to rest.
that is true. I mean, that the world does hinge upon our opinion.
Yeah.
So, well, the other big news that happened this week that was kind of shocking was Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis is suffering from a disease called aphasia, which apparently is a mental disorder, and it is generally caused from either having a stroke or some sort of traumatic brain injury that affects your ability to communicate properly or remember certain things. There was 3 different versions of it, and I don't remember all 3 of them. But he is suffering from it in such a way that he is. They say stepping away from acting, but I'm pretty sure that means he's just straight up retiring. Like I don't think we'll see. I mean, there's a couple of Bruce Willis movies that are in the can, but I don't think we're going to see any new Bruce Willis movies past that, just because.
Oh, I could see him maybe doing like little cameos, but I don't see him being a lead anymore.
I don't know. I mean, they were talking. I mean, stuff that's been coming out, and since he made the announcement, some of the directors he's worked with a couple of times over the last few years are like, this guy has a handler on set at all times, to the point where like we even start casting the handlers with him because we have to keep them in the scene. He has to wear an earpiece so that like somebody off screen can read him the lines so that he can just repeat them back. You know, at that point. There was one story, and you know, there's an actress who was like, they kept handing him a gun, and he kept, you know, it's a fake gun, and everybody knew it was, but he kept firing it on the wrong like mark because he was supposed to fire it after a certain word, but he would fire it at the wrong time. and they said he did it 2 or 3 times. Um, and so, before they were like, all right, we have to change this. And of course, the producers were like, no. And I'm sure it has everything to do with what's going on the Rust, Alec Baldwin stuff.
Oh yeah.
They're all, are trying to deny it, and also somewhat to protect the legacy of Bruce Willis. But at the end of the day, some of these stories that are coming out, you have to go, where's the responsibility of movie producers or Hollywood or Bruce Willis's family to say a long time ago, pull him back and say, we need to stop that. Like, it's no longer safe or prudent to have you acting on these films.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's sad. Bruce Willis has done some amazing work. You go back and you look at Die Hard, Fifth Element, Sixth Sense. Those are some really good
Yeah.
movies.
Hudson Hawk.
Well, all right, not all of them. but
Look who's talking. 2.
Two.
Yeah, yep. Legend.
He has done some really good stuff. He's done some really bad stuff, but there are very few actors out there who can genuinely say they haven't done at least one really bad movie.
Right. For sure. I wasn't kidding with Hudson Hawk. I liked that movie a lot.
I know I saw it once because people were, that was one of those bombs. Like people were
Yeah.
like, this is so bad. I remember watching it going, why did everybody hate it? It's not that bad. But
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
It's fun. It's a fun movie.
it's been so long since I've seen it. I don't remember it really.
Chris is like obsessed with it. He loves that movie too. He's the one that introduced me to it. But
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
Where can we watch Hudson Hawk?
Yeah.
Hawk. Oh, well, look at that. We can watch it on Netflix or we can watch it on Tubi. So you can watch it on Netflix. You can watch it on Netflix with no ads, or you can watch it on Tubi with ads. So,
Perfect.
tough choice.
depending on how you want to, operate your evening. So yeah. Now, in light of we didn't talk about them at all this year because as much fun as we had with the Razzies a few years ago when we were talking about joining the Razzie group, because you could pay like $45 or whatever it is to join to have voting rights.
Mm-hmm.
They Razzies stopped being, in my opinion, as much fun because it became very political. Like it got so like the people they were started to nominate they started nominating people in documentaries for like worst actor or worst screen couple and it was just like, guys, this is not what Razzies were meant to be. Fun and to poke fun at the bad movies that Hollywood put out when they were like trying to sell you on it being a good movie. Like that's what it was for. It wasn't to like come down on shit that's already shit. Like,
Right.
Troma should have never been Troma would have never been eligible for a Razzie in my opinion because Troma was intentionally making bad movies. Like, we're talking about like say Justice League. Not the Zack Snyder cut. I haven't watched that one, so I'm not gonna, comment on that one. We're talking about the Whedon cut. Like that movie deserved to be nominated for Razzies because that's a movie that they were actually trying to make as a good movie. And like that's the kind of stuff that it needs to be made fun of. But this year for the Razzies, they created a category just for Bruce Willis, and it was like worst Bruce Willis performance of the year. And I guess he did like 8 movies last year.
Wow.
Jeez.
And so they gave him like a couple of Razzie awards for the year. Just talking about how terrible he was. And the Razzies have since come out and said, we now, given the knowledge that we have now, we rescind those wards. We're taking them away. They're no longer, like, we're striking them from the books. Like, they're not there anymore.
Well, that's good for them to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe, maybe next year we'll talk about the Razzies because it seems like they've done the right thing. I mean, you can't. I think maybe that says you can go back the last year or two, depending on when they say, all right, this is actually how long we know Bruce Willis was sick or had had this. I don't know if it's a disease or an illness or if there's really a difference between the two. Like,
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm sure there's technically a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, or if it came from, or if it's an injury, because I mean, if you get hit head in the head hard enough, or you have a stroke, like, So I don't really know. I'm sure that, I mean, all right, if you're a doctor, hit us up on Facebook. Let us know. Is there a difference medically between disease, illness, and injury? Like, obviously, I know there's a difference between illness and injury, but like when it comes to classifications, like, is there really a difference?
Yeah. That's a good call. And also, then if you, after you're done hitting us up, hit me up directly because I got some stuff I'd like you to take a look at.
Oh, so you're looking for some free medical care?
Yeah.
Got this spot right here.
We'll run an ad for his office
Free ads.
Oh,
or
boy.
hers.
Free ads for free medical care. Seems like a fair deal to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
What could possibly go wrong with that?
All right. But do you think that, I mean, given the unique scenario that it was, like, clearly we now know that, like, the reason that the last handful or, dozen or so Bruce Willis movies have been so bad is because, like, he's really suffering from something. But do you think this is kind of maybe a bad precedent for the Razzies to sit back and go, we're taking that one back? Or is it because it's such a unique scenario, is it the right call?
Yeah, I think it'll be so rare that this happens in the future with other actors or actresses that it was a good call.
Yeah, I agree. Good call.
All right.
I can't even think of the last Bruce Willis thing I saw.
Me neither.
mm,
Now that you were saying it, I was like, I'll look some stuff up. But yeah, I don't know the last movie.
I didn't see Glass. Did you guys see Glass?
I did see Glass. Glass was pretty good.
Didn't.
So
Oh,
I do. I mean, because I've never heard. I mean, if he had a stroke, they kept that out of the news completely. And I mean, who knows with the type of movies that he was doing with, 5 diehards and, the stuff that he did on the set of Unbreakable, not so much Glass, but I mean, Hudson Hawk. I mean, after Die Hard, he became a pretty big action guy. Armageddon, maybe he took a hard hit somewhere in the head, or a couple of hard hits in the head.
Yeah, you never know. I mean,
So I'm sure stuff like that will eventually come out. People can't keep stuff hidden.
right.
Which, oh man, did I keep that? I wonder if I did or not. Vamp for a second while I look
Right.
up something.
what do you got, Justin?
Oh, well, I got some stuff later on.
All right.
All right. Well, before we
Nothing
get to
right now.
before we get to our last bit, so I found this tweet. I thought it was longer than 4 days ago, but apparently it was only 4 days ago. Well, anyway, all right. Listen carefully.
Always.
One obvious thing about conspiracy theorists that they never had is that they. Okay, hold on. Let me start over again. Let me read this clearly and not a mumble mouth.
Take two.
One obvious thing about conspiracy theorists is that they've never had to plan or coordinate anything difficult in real life. Like, what project management tool do they think the lizard people are using to keep everyone coordinated and on schedule?
True. Yeah.
So, I mean, I know that conspiracy theories are fun, and I know that we've had a lot of fun with them. But when I saw that, I'm like, because that's been my thing about conspiracy theories for a long time. The bigger the conspiracy, like the moon landing, when you get thousands of people involved, you're not keeping them all quiet. You just aren't. You can't. Like, if you get a conspiracy theory outside of really, I mean, one person, which at that point is not really a conspiracy, but like, because I think you have to have like a minimum of 3 people to be like considered a conspiracy or something like that. But I mean, the second you start getting 5 people,
One,
6
two.
people,
There's 3 of us right here.
Let's
Right.
start one.
but but the second you get like to a certain number of people, you're not going to keep it quiet. Maybe for a little bit, but at some point, somebody's going to break. Somebody's going to talk. Somebody's going to write
Well.
something down. Somebody's going to write something down. Somebody's going to record something.
There has actually been a history of people breaking silence. Like, remember that Fox special about the moon landing?
Yeah.
They had to blur that guy's face out and change his voice.
Or the alien crash at Area 51.
Yeah.
Or the fact that every one of those have been debunked for what they were. But anyway, I just saw that.
Disinfo.
I saw that and I went, okay, yeah, you're right. I mean, as somebody who has had to be been a man in management at some point in my life, and I mean, granted, it was only, I think at most I had 4 guys working for me. That's hard as hell keeping 4 people in line. I can't imagine trying to keep several hundred in line and getting everybody on time and straight and like all on the same plan.
Mhm.
Like, so yeah. Anyway, I mean, I think that's where, I mean, the guy's right. I mean, people who are diehard into conspiracy theories have never tried to like, manage a group of people before.
I've managed groups of people, and I still believe in some of them.
Well, I'm not saying that all of them are crap. I'm just saying that
Okay.
most of them. Because my other side of the conspiracy theories is that eventually somebody, if you let a conspiracy theorist talk long enough, they're going to blame the Jews.
All right.
Okay then. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I mean, you let a flat earther talk long enough, at some point they're gonna blame the Jews.
I'd be
Guaranteed.
curious to hear about how the Jews tie into all of that.
It's every time they do it, it's always a stretch, and that's when you know that person has gone over the crazy line.
They've gone over the flat earth.
Right.
They've fallen off the flat earth at that point.
That meme of the hot crazy scale?
The Mendoza diagonal.
Yeah, you can. Oh, all right. After we're done recording, look it up. Look up the hot crazy diagram,
All right.
where there's a certain level of crazy, like a certain level of hotness can also get you to a certain level of craziness before, like, if you're only, such and such. And I mean, this goes for both genders. I'm not just saying about female. So don't come at me. Like if you're only this hot, you can only be this crazy. If you're this hot, so like if you're a 10,
Yeah.
you can maybe go to the 8 or 9 on the crazy scale before people are like, I'm done with you. If you're like a 3 and you're at like the 8 on the crazy scale, people are gonna, they're not gonna pay attention. They're gonna be done with you long before.
Right.
So,
Huh.
the guy who has the video, it's hilarious because he's treating it like it's like an actual like scientific, like, he's got like and he looks like a teacher or like a scientist. I can't remember if he had a lab coat or just he has a whole diagram. It's great. But
Funny.
anyway,
I'll check it out.
Okay, so my last bit is Michael Bay.
Okay.
I know how we feel about Michael Bay. We've all enjoyed his work.
Yeah.
Um,
He can be a little crazy,
he can be a little crazy.
but luckily he's got the hotness too.
But he says that Steven Spielberg told him to stop making the Transformer movies after the 3rd one.
I agree with him.
he also says that he was he looked back on it and goes, Spielberg was probably right. I probably should have stopped.
Yeah, agreed. I'll agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the first one was really good. The second one was okay. The third one started falling apart, and then Wahlberg stepped in, and it just, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of
fifth-
rough.
The fifth one was just awful.
Never even got that far.
I never got past the first one.
Really?
I watched the first one, thought it was okay. I think everyone said it was so amazing, and then when I finally watched it, I was like, "Oh, it's all right. It's not great. It's not bad."
Did have a lot of hype.
Yeah. Well, and I think what made it so good, I mean, it found a way to kind of modernize the Transformer thing, but still honor the Transformer. Like, I don't know. Like, Shia did a really good job.
Yeah, I liked it.
It's the one movie that Megan Fox didn't try to ruin.
Um,
But yeah, I mean, now Michael Bay did direct all five of the first five Transformer movies. He stepped away and that's where like Bumblebee, like he didn't direct it, like, and that's kind of in its own, like, you think it's in a separate universe. I'm not 100% sure. I know I watched it. It wasn't terrible, but I mean, like, it was way better than like number 4 and 5. No, I'll give you that much. But yeah, Michael Bay was like, maybe I should have stopped after 3 and handed the reins over to other people, or let just produce it like I'm doing now. But yeah, I thought that was kind of a rare bit of honesty from a director going, yeah, I messed up.
yeah, we need more of that.
Yeah.
Okay then. Right. So who watched what this week?
Well, did you guys watch Moon Knight?
Yeah.
I did.
All right, we all watched that.
Fuck yeah. I liked that a lot.
I
That's
enjoyed it.
something. Yeah, I thought it was really good. Watched that this morning. Interesting to see where they're going to go with it.
Yeah, this was really an instance of, I wished of all the series so far that this was the one that they did 2 episodes per week with like everything else they were doing. Cause I was like, man, I can't believe it's over already. Like, I want more right now. Like, I don't know, really dug it. That last sequence especially was really cool, where you see him transition. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I do hope that, because I don't know how many episodes this is supposed to be. So I do hope that we get more into who Mark Spector is, because I mean, I don't know what they're doing, because they've changed the story enough that I don't know, because in the comic book, Mark Spector is the actual guy, and Stephen Grant is one of the personalities.
Mm.
Where it seems in this version, Stephen Grant is the personality, or is the main guy, and Mark Spector is one of the personalities. And we haven't really met No Shoe just yet, and what's going on there, or how he became Moon Knight just yet. So I'm imagining that we'll get an episode where they'll do that. And I'm kind of shocked to see somebody like Ethan Hawke show up in a Marvel thing, because he tends to not do stuff like that. Like, he is not really known for joining in on big budget, high commercial stuff. So very interested in what's going on with that whole character, because honestly, I don't know. Like, I mean, as much as I enjoy Moon Knight and as much as he is one of my favorite characters, a lot of the reason he's one of my favorite characters is the look. And he is, I mean, in the few books that I have read, he's just such a badass. But I haven't read as much of him as I have other characters. But there isn't as much of him out there as there is on other characters.
Yeah, I like the interactions he has with his other personality too. Like in the whole what is it? That one scene where he's driving the ice cream truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, all the idiots back in charge.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I like it.
Yeah. I feel like it was really clever concept. I loved like the jump in time. I'm not familiar with any of the source material, but I was really digging it.
So that sounds like that's something we'll all continue to watch.
Yeah, stamp of approval.
Yeah. All right. The only other thing I did is I went and seen Morbius too this weekend because I actually had a Saturday off, so I went and I saw it.
Is that as bad as everybody says it is?
I enjoyed it. I mean, I usually don't go in thinking this is going to be bad, and I don't read any of the stuff the critics say. But I liked it. There was a couple fight scenes in there that it was a little dark, so it's kind of hard to see exactly what was going on. But otherwise, it's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Is this part of the same timeline as everything else?
They do tie it in together. There's an after credits thing that ties it in to what's
Gotcha.
going on.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, there's 2 small after credit things on this one. That's what I've watched.
So let's see. What did I watch? I watched a lot of Batman 66 this week.
Nice.
There's so much fun happening in that show with just the level of cheesiness and campiness that's going on. It is such a good show. Like it doesn't get its due for what it was. I'd recommend going back and watching that. It's so much fun.
Nice.
Are you going to rewatch the movie too then?
Which one?
The Adam West Batman movie?
Yeah, I watched that. I watched that because when Hollywood Babylon was doing their Caped commentaries, they did the Caped commentary on the movie, so I had already watched like the first season, and like I was about halfway. I don't know how far into the second season I was when they stopped doing it, or when they took it off of the Roku channel, so I had to borrow it from you so that I could finish watching it. And then they stopped doing it, so I stopped watching them. And then you were like, "Yeah, you should watch them." And I was like, "You're right." Now I've just been binging out on it. They've been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know if you were going to rewatch the movie after you were done with the series.
No, I mean I watched it already. I think I watched it in the order of when they would have filmed the movie compared to like when.
Everything else.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Honestly, like it really sets a template for how I think a lot of modern superhero shows or superhero movies should be done. Like, give you the barest amount of origin and then move on. Like, you don't have to go over it all every time. Like, we don't need the backstory. Like, we don't need to see Thomas and Martha get killed every time. Like, moving on. Like, we all know it. Like, just.
Mm-hmm.
And like almost every one of these villains, like they just show up and they're all like, "Oh, it's the Mad Hatter again." And you're like, "Well, who's the Mad Hatter?" Well, they already know who the Mad Hatter is. Who cares? Moving on. You'll catch up. You can catch up later on,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, I don't know. I mean, and they don't take themselves too seriously. Like you can definitely tell they were having fun with it. Anyway. I mean, so there's my review on something from 1966.
That's perfect.
Spoilers on that one.
We got a celebrity death. Stell Harris.
Oh yeah, that happened today.
Yeah, I mean, Seinfeld.
Yeah,
probably the most iconic.
I mean,
yeah.
She's in a lot of things, but yeah, when you see her, that's the first thing you think of is George's mom from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Right.
So good on her. She's 93. I mean, what more can you ask for? Don't get greedy, Estelle.
What a lot of people consider to be one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. So
Hell
True.
yeah. Fuck yeah. They started rerunning them on Comedy Central recently, and it's been like really fun to watch some of them again. It's like it's been so long since I've seen them, and
I think all of them are
funny
still on.
show.
I think all of them are still on Netflix too.
Nice.
Yeah,
I
that
think-
first that
I think
first
I'm about
season
halfway done with the first season.
that first season's a little rough. It isn't until I think the second or third season when it really finds its stride. I think
Yeah.
they were still calling. I think the first season they were calling it like the Seinfeld Chronicles or something like that.
And the first episode or two, that they don't even call him Kramer; they call him something else.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah. There's a whole other group. There's their whole different dynamic, and it's interesting. But it's funny, like once they find their footing, like a lot of the stuff that's like through lines to like the whole Art Vandelay joke and the import export, like that's coming out of like some of the first episodes, and like that's just a joke that keeps getting brought up over and over.
Yeah.
And the wanting to be an architect, or
Yeah. Good stuff.
so. All right, well, you said you had some stuff to bring to us.
That's what it was. The stuff I seen, Morbius, kind of a little review on
Oh,
that.
okay.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't want to start talking about Morbius in the middle of it and then come back to it.
All right.
I don't know if Jeremy watched anything.
Well, I watched the new episode of Practical Jokers.
I was gonna watch that today, but I didn't.
I didn't realize they were still making episodes of that show.
Yeah, they're coming back without Joe. And they have like a bunch of celebrity guests for each episode, it looks like. So
Hmm.
I don't know. It was funny. I liked it. I mean, pretty much what you would expect, but they added they do like some skits in between now. Like really short little skits, like for interstitial parts. But everything else is pretty much the same.
Interesting. I'll definitely
That-
watch it.
I said the only other thing I seen is it looks like Laramie won the bracket.
Yep. Yeah. So I'll have to get a hold of him and see what he wants us to do for a bracket. So congratulations, Laramie. You're the only one who didn't pick Gonzaga to win, and somehow you still beat us all.
Nicholas,
Even-
you finished in dead last.
Yep, dead last.
Yay.
Yeah, yeah. But I was looking at it a little bit ago, and he has a max score of 68.
Yes, I have it pulled up right now. I was looking at it.
So the max score for the person who can possibly win it all, if North Carolina wins the tournament, the guy who could win the whole CBS bracket challenge is 167 points. That's how bad our group was.
Way
Yeah.
to go, guys.
Like,
It looks like you had the most correct picks, but you still finished in last.
because all of my correct picks were like the first two rounds or first round. Then I got everything wrong.
Yeah.
So when you started getting actual points for it, yeah, if Kansas wins, the number one guy can get 164. So yeah, I mean that's again how bad our group was.
Perfect.
Yeah, maybe next year we'll try to break 100.
Yeah.
Do a little more research than 2 hours
know-
before the bracket starts.
I don't know if research helps, but it is what it is. So, but yes, congratulations to Laramie, the host of Moving Panels podcast. You have won the Pop Culture Roulette Bracket Challenge. So your prize will be to let us know what you want us to construct a bracket about, and we'll dedicate a whole episode and your whatever bracket you want us to do the debate within reason.
We do like brackets.
Within reason. All
Yeah.
right. So anyway,
That's all I got.
Right on. Do we want to tease people about our special episode next week?
Oh, let's do that. Let's do some teasing. Ooh, yeah. Do
Don't be
you wanna
creepy,
know-
Nicholas.
Do you want to know what's coming up next?
I instantly regret this.
Yeah, me too.
I mean,
Next week on Pop Culture Roulette.
You think we'll fit that all into one episode, or is that going to be a two-parter?
ooh,
Well, I guess we'll find out when we record it. I mean, we'll
yeah.
just
Only time will tell.
Now, it's a big one. It could be a two-parter.
so do we want to drop a hint as to what it is, or
I
we
think I just did.
it doesn't really-
Maybe they can comment, give us their guesses.
If you guess correctly, we'll be sending you a prize pack.
Well, we know allegedly.
No, we won't.
Yeah, this thing-
This guy
Oh.
was supposed to get diversion stickers a long time ago, and it never happened. So
Allegedly.
there's no hope for any future prizes.
yeah, this
And
thing-
by this guy, I mean Damon. Actually, was supposed to get those back when we had our
Yeah.
old show.
They got lost in the mail.
Yeah,
Sometimes that happens.
you can't trust some of these postmen around here.
Now, things get lost all the
A
time.
little sketchy. Yeah.
a little sketchy.
So, all right. It's kind of crazy having the anniversary already. I mean, actually should have been like a little while back, but it feels really nice to have another 52 with you guys coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
we didn't miss that many episodes this time either.
We really
No.
didn't.
no, it's been we've had a pretty good run. I mean,
Yeah.
granted that ignores the 101 episodes we did of the original Pop Culture Roulette, and then the 7 or 8 episodes we did when we tried to do Point Cubed. But
True. But
And that-
whatever.
And then the hiatus.
Yeah.
yeah, but I think after we knocked the rust off of the first couple episodes, I think we've been doing some quality work.
I agree.
Maybe our fan can comment and let us know and tell us how he thinks we're doing.
If it's gotten better, if it's gotten worse, it will stay the same.
So let us know. Give us some love or some constructive criticism.
We promise not to slap you.
You speak for yourself.
Allegedly. I think I know the title of the episode.
Yeah.
Will Smith's revenge.
Yes.
Allegedly the new episode.
Allegedly.
All right. Well, so anyway, I guess. I went and saw Lost City.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Don't even really know what that is, to be honest with you.
That's
Yeah.
that new Sandra Bullock Channing Tatum movie.
Okay. I mean,
Still don't know what you're talking about.
yeah.
I mean, Sandra Bullock is a romance novelist who, her and her husband were like actual like archaeologists, but she fell into becoming a romance novelist, and then her husband passed away, and then blah blah blah. But she was writing about this civilization that had long since passed away, and like they had uncovered a lost city for it. Daniel Radcliffe is a crazy multi-millionaire billionaire who kidnaps her to make her help him find this like treasure of some kind. And Channing Tatum is her cover model, so kind of like a Fabio.
Okay.
And he's out to prove that he's not just a joke. And so he tries to rescue her. And it's any chance that either of you have seen a 1984, 1985 movie called Romancing the Stone?
Oh, I've heard of
Yeah.
it.
All right. It's very reminiscent of that. I mean, it's different enough that it wasn't like just a remake or a ripoff, but you can definitely tell that the people who made Lost City had seen Romancing the Stone and were inspired by. Well, it was fun. I mean, Channing Tatum has some real comedy chops that you wouldn't expect, and Sandra Bullock is always quality.
Right.
This is not a spoiler because Brad Pitt is literally in the trailer, but Brad Pitt has a pretty fun cameo.
Nice.
I'd recommend it. I guess it's gonna be on. I don't remember if it was Paramount or Peacock. I think they said 45 days after it was in the theater, so like a month from now. Anyway, but we went and saw it anyway because we had the day off and we wanted to go see a movie and just we both thoroughly enjoyed it. So
Yeah, I might try to do that more on Saturdays now that I'll have Saturdays off. I might try to go to more movies and catch up on some of this stuff.
so anyway, yeah, I mean, so anyway, I guess if you are Will Smith and you've gotten mad about something, or if you are the Razzies and have dedicated an entire category to one actor who has a disease of some kind, maybe just remember that stupid never walks alone.
Do you love movies of a certain age? Do you miss the days of VHS tapes and VCRs and video rental stores? Does the thought of another 80s movie being remade seem inconceivable? If you want to go back to school, back to the future, or even back to the beach, then the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast is for you. I'm Tim Williams, the creator and host, and on each episode, I'm joined by a guest co-host as we revisit a different 80s flick to discuss our first-time watch memories, iconic scenes, and even learn some behind-the-scenes stories along the way. New episodes drop every other Friday on your favorite podcasting platform. So make like a tree, get out of here, and go listen to an episode of the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast.